welcome the investment and entry of ABS-CBN in TV5. We now can achieve our cherished goal in greater measure of providing quality content across entertainment, sports and news in the service of the Filipino people. We are likewise pleased with our investment in SkyCable. We will support its expanded coverage nationwide on pay TV and broadband and raise its programming portfolio. I would like to welcome warmly ABS and all of its staff and talents into the TV5 family.
We look forward to this strengthened partnership as we see the opportunity to help TV5 grow and be an important part of every home in the Philippines. For ABS-CBN, it presents an exciting opportunity to achieve synergies in content production, to work with the best talent on-cam and off-cam.
From the nation's capital, all sides, all the time, I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. The big story tonight.
Ang kapatid ay kapamilya. MediaQuest, the parent company of Cignal Cable and TV5, have sealed a landmark deal with broadcast giant ABS-CBN.
This partnership is considered one of the biggest moves in the country's media industry in recent years. Shaila Francisco with the big story.
After more than a year of negotiations, MediaQuest Holdings, which operates the TV5 network, has signed a landmark deal with ABS-CBN. ABS-CBN will acquire nearly 6.5 million primary shares in TV5 for about 2.16 billion pesos. That's a roughly 35% stake. In short, ABS-CBN is investing in TV5, but MediaQuest will remain the controlling shareholders. After 8 years, ABS-CBN also has the option, subject to regulatory approvals, to increase its stake to up to 49.9%.
We now can achieve our cherished goal in greater measure of providing quality content across entertainment, sports and news in the service of the Filipino people.
We look forward to this strengthened partnership as we see the opportunity to help TV5 grow. For ABS-CBN, it presents an exciting opportunity to achieve synergies in content production.
With the investment agreement, more ABS-CBN shows are expected to be aired on the Kapatid channel, although the two networks have yet to finalize the programming.
You're not splitting any part of the business because the three main verticals, entertainment, sports, and news, are all part of the same pot. No? They're all be blended together in some shape or form. There are many good points about it for both sides, and I think it's best that after the negotiations have ended, that both parties feel good about it. You know?
The deal also includes Cignal Cable acquiring a minority stake in SkyCable for close to 2.9 billion pesos, which is seen to benefit both cable and broadband subscribers.
We will support its expanded coverage nationwide on pay TV and broadband and raise its programming portfolio. This investment also allows us to improve on public service.
ABS-CBN recently told shareholders it will pivot towards content creation and distribution instead.
Even with the dramatic growth of broadband and online streaming, there are still a lot of significant number of kababayans in many parts of the Philippines that look for free TV and radio as a source of news and entertainment. I am happy and honored to be able to recognize and say what is a matter of fact. Ang atin mga kapatid ay ang atin mga kapamilya.
The two transactions are expected to close this month. Shaila Francisco, we are One News.
You know, a while ago on TV5, I was the very first one to announce this partnership on the free TV channel, and I couldn't help but feel sentimental. May iyak na ako sa totoo lang. I mean, I speak for myself when I say it. I'm grateful for TV5 for giving me a home here, and I'm sure the others feel the same way. Naalala ko lahat how painful that experience was, and getting to this point. I mean, when would you see that? I mean, it took a lot.
But like you said, getting to this point, diba? Parang this is certainly big news, not just for the stakeholders in the networks, but really for the whole country, for the sector. I mean, given especially how important media is. in the country. This is certainly big news. And to your point about this point, we still have a lot of questions about where we are exactly at this point. I will admit, same way that you will, I will admit I still have questions, and to share with us some more insights and some more details about this landmark deal between MediaQuest and ABS-CBN. To give us her insights, we have with us on the show MediaQuest Holdings President and CEO, Jane Basas. She's joining us via Zoom. Ms. Basas, JJB, welcome to The Big Story.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening, Gretchen.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. I'll put on my journalist hat first, because I do have to get these questions out of the way. NTC said they will look into this, and particularly they bring back the context of supposed violations that are still pending with ABS-CBN on their side. What does that do to this agreement, wherever we are at this point? Your reactions to what the NTC is saying?
Robbie, I cannot speak for ABS-CBN, right? But as far as I know, we've been cleared of all the alleged liabilities by the relevant government agencies. For us, we actually welcome any investigation because we are confident that we are compliant. This transaction is compliant with all relevant Philippine laws and regulations.
Sige. In that context, I'll throw it in there na rin. Not just the NTC, Competition Council, do you see any hurdles there or anything to clarify on that front?
We entered this transaction with our eyes wide open, right? And we really firmly believe that this transaction is exempt from review by the PCC, because the transaction size of both the ABS and TV5 transaction and the Cignal and SkyCable transaction combined is actually significantly lower than the transaction size threshold in the Bayanihan 2 Act of the PCC. So the Bayanihan 2 Act allows for transactions as big as 50 billion, and the combined transaction of the Cignal and the TV5 deal, when you add the 7.5 and the 4 billion, is only 11.5 billion. And more importantly, Robbie, people say that, people have asked me, is this anti-competition? And I actually believe that it's the exact opposite. I believe that it promotes better competition because it makes TV5 healthier and stronger and gives us a better opportunity to compete with a clear leader in the industry, which is GMA7.
Ms. Jane, let's clear it out a little bit. The signing last night, is that final? The transaction itself, it's an investment. That was the term that was used. And what kind of programs can we expect, the exciting part to this partnership?
We're very excited. Obviously, we intend to leverage on the strength of ABS-CBN, and the strength is clearly in the area of entertainment, right? We're very strong in sports already. I'm very happy with my news team, but entertainment is something that we should embrace. Ultimately, we feel that the strength of ABS in entertainment will strengthen the entire channel and allow us to bring in better ratings for our consumers, right? And better ratings will result in higher revenues for the organization.
Speaking of the strengths of both networks, MVP spoke about the three verticals there, diba? Entertainment, news, sports. Are we therefore expecting, bringing in as well the development on the side of Sky and Cignal, that everything on those three verticals we can now expect on both platforms, Sky and Cignal in particular?
Robbie, that's the intention, right? The intention is I'd love for one PH, one Sports, one Sports Plus, one News to be accessible by SkyCable subscribers, because right now that's not the case. So it is our intention to strengthen the channel lineup of SkyCable. Obviously, because SkyCable and Cignal Cable and Cignal TV will continue to operate as two separate entities, these channel sharing agreements will have to be covered with commercial transactions that will have to be done at an arm's length basis. Kasi magkahiwalay naman yung kampanya.
I guess in terms of marketing, how would Cignal TV be different in order to not cannibalize one business or the other in running these two cable companies?
Those are two separate platforms, Gretchen. No? So Cignal TV, and just to be clear, Cignal TV is different from Cignal Cable. Cignal Cable is an affiliate of Cignal TV and a subsidiary of MediaQuest. But Cignal TV is operating its pay TV business under the DTH technology, and SkyCable operates it under the cable technology. So those are not just separate, different technologies, but they address different markets as well.
Now, of course, beyond the networks, we were talking earlier about, given how important media is in the country, this is really something of national significance. What do you see being the impact? I mean, this agreement and this investment and this collaboration between these two networks, what ultimately does that bring to the nation?
Robbie, as we were negotiating, those were stressful days for me in particular and for the entire team. But despite the stress, we were very, very hopeful. We were praying that we can close this deal. The closing hasn't come yet. We just had our signing, and we're giving ourselves the next few weeks to close the transaction. But we were hoping that we could sign because we truly believe that this is good for the Filipino viewers. And if it's good for the viewing public, then it's good for the Philippines. Yun po ang paniniwala namin, na merong access ang mga Filipino households sa content na talagang will make them happy, di ba? Not just in sports, not just in news, but particularly in entertainment. We very, very strongly believe in that.
I guess that answers my question earlier. If this was already final, so we have a few weeks to close the transaction, ano pa po yung mga kailangan natin i-iron out?
Okay, so there are pre-closing requirements. We hope to do that before the end of the month. But as soon as the closing happens, we would like to sit down with our new partners in SkyCable and in ABS-CBN, so we can plan on the operations plan, di ba? What new shows are we going to produce, right? We need to build our talent group. Diba? So essentially, really taking advantage of the unique strengths of TV5 and ABS and SkyCable and Cignal Cable.
Okay, we will continue our conversation with MediaQuest President and CEO Jane Basas when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News, all sides, all the time.
watching the big story here on One News. Public policy think tank InfraWatch PH welcomes the new partnership between ABS-CBN and TV5. InfraWatch PH convener Terry Redon says this is a testament to the enduring quality of content produced by ABS-CBN, despite its shutdown in 2020. Redon adds that this is also a leap forward for TV5, as it can now, quote, compete head-on with GMA. The think tank also expects Kapamilya adversaries will try to sabotage the partnership, but it believes that the deal is not a franchise issue because it involves no transfer of controlling stakes that requires congressional approval. InfraWatch also argues that the Philippine Competition Commission does not need to strike the deal because it has no impact on competition. Although the think tank says that TV5 and ABS-CBN may opt for a voluntary review with the PCC. Still joining us tonight, MediaQuest Holdings President and CEO, Ms. Jane Basas. Ms. Jane, I guess one of the things that people here are worried about when it comes to this deal is exactly when it comes to employment issues. What can we expect? How will this impact workers from both sides? Should we expect layoffs? Should we expect mergers between programs? What can you say about that?
Gretch, we're still in the very early stage of discussions, right? So we actually haven't even had a transition meeting yet. But, you know, personally, there are many opportunities in this transaction. Robbie knows this. We worked together in several years ago, and there are many departments that an entertainment network needs that we don't have. We don't have a programming department, we don't have a creative department, we don't have an analytics department that studies entertainment consumption behaviors. And those are opportunities for job employment, right? But as the management, obviously, we will look at opportunities for achieving cost efficiencies because that is our obligation to our shareholders. But in terms of, saying if there will be layoffs, I cannot answer that right now. I do see opportunities for employment, right? For employment creation because we are actually creating more shows in TV5.
Ma'am, I mean, even before this agreement and this deal, there was already a lot of speculation on what the synergy might look like. There was a lot of reference to ABS-CBN now being a content producer, some calling it a block time arrangement. I mean, for me personally, you mentioned ABS-CBN, and either of those terms sounds too small to capture how exactly this will work out. What's a fair, what do you is a more accurate way to frame what ABS-CBN brings here and what their model of engagement with TV5 is going to look like?
It is, Robbie, technically an investment agreement, right? So ABS-CBN is coming into TV5 as a minority shareholder, right? And that means that they will occupy board seats that is reflective of their 34.99% voting interest. Having said that, we will be crazy not to embrace the opportunity to learn from them when it comes to entertainment. So we will put the right talents from ABS in the right positions in TV5, but they will be TV5 employees.
Now, we do know that there is, between this agreement, there is still the closing, as you said, that might still be weeks away. I don't know if this is preemptive, but at this point, are you at liberty to give us some insights on the negotiation process? What went on? What were some particularly significant hurdles that had to be hurdled for, as MVP said, for both sides to be walking away happy?
Unfortunately, I wasn't privy to the conversations because, MVP said that the conversations actually started more than a year ago, right? And I was just actively involved in the negos beginning June 1 when I became the president of MediaQuest. So the only thing I can say is in the past few weeks, it's been very busy. We would meet every day, sometimes during the weekends and multiple times during the day, because it's a very complicated transaction. It's a very complicated transaction. Apart from the transactions that pertain to the common shares, there are actually debt instruments that that we had to finalize. But, as I said earlier, we were hopeful as we were doing the negotiations because we believe that this will be good for us. This is not just good for the two businesses, but good for the country as well.
And one of the more complicated parts of this deal would be the synergy between ABS-CBN News and News 5. You've mentioned entertainment, but how about this side of the deal? Do we expect one newsroom, and then how would the programming be on that end?
Gretch, kasi the two entities will remain to operate separately, right? So ABS-CBN and their content creation responsibilities will continue. I believe their ABS-CBN News will remain to be a separate operation, and just as our own news operation will remain to be separate. So if there are synergies at this time, I really can't think of any kasi magkahiwalay siya talaga eh.
So what does it mean for as well? I mean, just as an extension of that, the digital platforms and the social media platforms of either entity, how does that come into play for the synergies between the two networks?
Right now, that follows the same principle as news, right? It will remain to be two separate assets, separately operated and managed by the two separate companies.
Okay, we'll pause for another quick break. Keep it here on One News, all sides, all the time. Let's continue our interview with MediaQuest Holdings President and CEO Jane Basas. She joins us via Zoom. Ms. Basas, once again, welcome. Na, ma'am, asking for a friend. Ang dami nangungulit sa akin eh. Baka naman daw may pag-asa mabuhay ang probinsyano.
Hi! Alam ko, this week na lang yun eh. Kasi papalitan na ata ng Darna, di ba?
Baka naman just in time to. But in all...
Papasok mo si Darna.
Ayun.
Okay.
Excited, babae naman.
But in all seriousness, I mean, what are some innovations and excitements on that side. On the entertainment pillar muna, I mean, what do you see coming out of this partnership that, could be something that hasn't been tested or tried before?
Well, when it comes to the traditional platform of free-to-air, our objectives are very simple, Robbie. We really want to review the programming grid that we have right now. We want to make sure that we put in the best entertainment programs that will, improve the appeal of our network. You know that we have very little entertainment programs. In fact, that's why we open our asset to affiliate marketing agreements, right? At the end of the day, we believe that ABS-CBN is the right partner. They are the best in the entertainment content production. They have the best talents, and we promise to give you, the Filipino people, better entertainment content moving forward as soon as the deal is signed.
Miss Jane, pagdating naman po sa sports, marami pong nangungulit naman sa aking Twitter account. Magkakaroon na po ba ng synergy or official partnership between our sports properties and TFC? Kasi we've had that with other leagues and other games. Is that something that we're moving towards?
My understanding, Gretch, is our sports properties are actually already available in the I Want TFC terrestrial platforms. Where it is currently not available, I'm not so sure, but I think it's not yet available in the digital platforms. But that's something that we will have to assess because, as you know, we also have our own digital assets. Mm-hmm. So as two separate entities, right, we will still compete.
What does this agreement and this cooperation mean for the reach? I mean, regardless of the content, ABS-CBN, TV5, they have a lot of assets, both for terrestrial and also for cable and satellite. What does all of that combined mean for the reach of the content?
It will definitely enhance the reach of the content that both networks churn out right now. Apart from the terrestrial platforms, we have the pay platforms, and we have the digital platforms. So obviously, again, as I said, we will sit down, we will create a plan. We will create a plan that will be good for the business and that will be good for the country.
Medyo marami po na-excite talaga eh. Lalo na siguro yung mga kababayan natin sa probinsya. Meron din po ba tayong balak sa regional?
Yun actually yung one of the things that we had talked about. We know that to be able to compete well, we have to be very strong in the regional area. So yung regional operation, pag-aaralan ulit namin yan, but it is our full intention to be able to compete with the #1 in the industry in terms of coverage and reach.
Teka, bago tayo umalis, hindi ko pwedeng hindi tanongin to. Ano po ba ang tatawag sa atin ngayon? Kapatid, kapamilya, kababayan, kapatilya, ano na po?
Nabasa ko yung kapatilya, pero as of now, BAU tayo, business as usual, kapatid. Right? Ang lalim ng meaning ng kapatid, brotherhood, right? So kapatid.
Okay. Kapatid. MediaQuest President Jane Basas, maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
And that's the big story tonight. For more updates, follow News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. You may also log on to onenews.ph for more in-depth analysis. Ako po si Robbie Alampay.
The big story is also available via Cignal Play app. Make a free account now at signalplay.com and stream One News anytime, anywhere. Ako po si Gretchen Ho. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.